Okay, so let's move into the Series A round of full ratchet conversion, and this is where things are going to heat up a little bit. So I'll try to make it as simple and easy to follow as possible, and explain things along the way, but expect a little bit of confusion and maybe having to watch this video a couple of times in order to fully grasp it. So we're going to start off the same way that we've started most of them off, with amount invested in the Series A. And that comes from the cap table. Once again, Series A cost, $2.1 million. After that, we'll do the pre-money valuation. The pre-money valuation is also from the cap table, this $10 million right here. And after that, we'll do post-money valuation. And so post-money valuation in this case is just the pre-money plus the amount invested. After that, we're going to do share price. So share price is where things are going to be a little bit different. So the share price in a full ratchet conversion is interesting because the old money, or the Series A money, gets the same share price for all that they invested that the Series A is going to get if it's a down round. So if Series Seed paid $571, and say in this case the Series A is going to pay $5, well, the Series Seed is going to get the difference than if they invested their money at $5 per share rather than $571 per share for everything, not the weighted average. So we're going to do that calculation. So basically what has to happen is the pre-money is reduced by the amount of the old money investment, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So in order to do that, we're going to say take the max, and the reason we do max is because if this is a negative number, which it could be in certain scenarios, we just want it to cap out or be minimalized at a penny. So I'm going to take the max of F30, which in this case is the pre-money valuation, minus F7, the amount invested by the Series Seed, and divide that by the sum, by the sum of the founder shared issued and the options issued there, plus the options issued to the Series A. And if that turns out to be a negative number, I just want it to be a penny. So that's the reason for the max formula. And it looks like I forgot a parentheses somewhere. Right there. Okay, so as you can see that this number, the $6.89 number, doesn't jive with the $6.68. So this calculation is only going to be correct in a down round scenario. If it's not a down round scenario, then you can kind of just ignore it. And like I mentioned previously, we'll make it to where it only applies in a down round scenario. Okay, so then we'll do shares issued. So the shares issued to the Series A would be the amount invested divided by the share price right here, because no, this share price is going to change a lot. So we're going to not reference the cap table here. We're just going to do that calculation right here on this page. And then we'll do value. So value is shares issued times share price, 2.1 million. Okay, after that, we're going to go down here to say full ratchet shares issuable. And what that is that's going to be the amount of shares that are issued to the Series Seed as part of their full ratchet anti-dilution provisions. So in order to do that, we just take the amount, the shares issued to the Series Seed, and multiply it by the share price paid in the Series Seed round divided by the share price in the Series A round. So all that's doing is that's going to up the number of shares that are issued to the correct amount if it's a down round scenario. We can see that this is less shares than the Series Seed were actually issued, so that 187,000 is less than they were actually issued, that 2.6. So we don't even want that to apply here, which will make it where it doesn't. Okay, so after that, we're going to say number of shares owned right here. And this is just a simple if statement that is going to apply the logic that we just talked about. So we're going to say if F28 is greater, and F28 being the Series A share price, is greater than the Series Seed share price, then just give us the shares issued to the Series Seed originally. Otherwise, give us the new share count, the new full ratchet shares issuable. And so that's going to make sure that we get the highest number of shares we can and that it's calculating correctly, so it's not taking shares away. Now we're going to do value. So the value here is just the number of shares owned times the share price. And then we're going to do value gained lost. This goes just like we've done before. So that 1.5 million minus the original value of the Series Seed, which is 1.29. Then we're going to do value as if converted. So that's value divided by number of shares owned. That's the same. And then we're going to do the conversion rate. So this conversion rate is what's going to we're going to make apply to our cap table and our liquidation model. That way we can let the waterfall work appropriately with adjusted conversion rates and not necessarily issuing additional shares to different classes. That way it's a little cleaner, it's easier to do, and it's easier to keep track of, and quite frankly it's probably much less expensive for the company to just adjust the conversion rate rather than go to the expense and hassle of issuing additional shares to the investors. And the end result is the same. The only difference that could be argued is that the anti-dilution shares would sway things in terms of voting power, which they may or may not, but it could also be handled in a similar way to where your shares are issued by your new, are multiplied by your new conversion rate to calculate your new voting percentage total share count. So it can still be done. All right, so the conversion rate is going to be another if statement. That is if the share price here, so the Series A round share price, is less than the Series Seed share price, then give us number of shares owned here, because this would be a new number here, divided by the original shares issued. Otherwise, 1. So what this is saying is that if the Series A share price is less than the Series Seed share price, then give us the conversion rate of the full ratchet shares issuable that would be higher here, divided by the original shares issued. So that's going to give us a number greater than 1. If it's not, if this share price is greater than the Series Seed share price, then just give us 1. That way we don't adjust our conversion rate at all. Okay, so next we're going to go down here to the founders and options. So the founders and options number of shares owned is going to be a little bit different now because we're adding in more options, basically. So we have the options from the Series Seed round, and then we're going to add in the Series A options, that 55,510 number right here. And the value of that is going to be the number of shares owned times the share price. The value gained or lost, this minus the value here. And the value as if converted would be the value right here divided by number of shares owned, 689. We're still getting the same thing. So now we need to add up all of the shares from each class in this round to get our total shares as if converted. And then we have a market cap right here, which would be this number times this number. So, like I said, this is only going to be correct in a down round scenario. So you can see that number should equal post-money valuation. It doesn't, so just let it slide and it will be fine in the down round scenario. Now the last thing we need to do is the percent of company owned. So we've done this a couple of times by now. So it's number of shares owned divided by as if converted. Roll through that relatively quickly. And then of course, if you want to check this number, you can add them up, add up these percentage of company owned and make sure they equal 100. So we can see 17, 13, that's actually 30, but if we move them out to a little further decimal points, we'll see they equal 29, and we can see this plus this is 100%. So that is how you do the full ratchet shares for the Series A round, and in the next video we'll play around with it and see how the down round scenarios will affect it.